The spring breeze turned the poplar trees around the eastern open space of Wushan Town Green. On the open space, a group of teenagers were training vigorously. It had been a year and a half since the last test for the Dragonblood warrior bloodline, and now Linley was 8 years old. Over this year and a half, Hillman clearly noticed that Linley trained even harder. "Great job, Linley. Hold on," Hillman said from the side. At that moment, Linley was only wearing long pants. His bare upper body was covered in sweat. He lay prone on the ground like a taut string, his hands pressing firmly against the earth like gnarled old tree roots. He didn't move an inch, supporting his entire body solely with his hands and the tips of his feet. Every muscle in his body was tense. This was static tension training, a simple yet highly effective exercise. If one could maintain this posture for an hour, their body would be able to withstand ordinary swords and blades. Drip. Sweat slid down from his forehead along the edge of his right eye. Linley felt a sting in his right eye and involuntarily squinted it shut. Lei is so awesome. He's only 8, but his static tension training is already on par with 13 or 14-year-olds. Some kids who had already given up whispered to each other as they watched Linley. "Lei, come on. Do it for us. Beat those 13 and 14-year-olds. Hadley, a blonde boy, shouted from the side. "Go, Lei." The other kids joined in. Linley got along well with the other teenagers. Though he was technically a noble's son, he treated the commoners' children kindly and even helped them with their training. "Just a little longer. Hold on a little longer," Linley kept telling himself. Then, his mind flashed back to what his father had said to him a year earlier. "Linley, we are the Dragonblood warrior family. As a member of this family, you have both advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that even if your Dragonblood warrior bloodline concentration isn't high enough to become a Dragonblood warrior, your body is still far stronger than ordinary people. Others might struggle to reach level 6 warrior just by training their body, but for you, it will be easier. But you also have a disadvantage. The disadvantage is descendants of the Dragonblood warrior family cannot practice ordinary chi manuals. Because the Dragonblood warrior bloodline in your body is only compatible with the Dragonblood manual and rejects all other chi cultivation methods. However, the Dragonblood manual can only be practiced when the Dragonblood concentration reaches a certain level. So, you cannot practice chi. Additionally, theoretically, ordinary people can reach level 6 warrior by purely training their bodies. But that's just theory. In reality, very, very few people can do it. We are different, though. Even with a thin Dragonblood warrior bloodline, we start ahead of others. We can reach level 6 warrior through pure physical training. Your great-grandfather even managed to reach level 7 warrior solely by training his body. Linley remembered his father's words clearly. "I'm stronger than others now because of the Dragonblood warrior bloodline in me," Linley roared silently in his heart. "But I can't practice chi, so I have to work harder, even harder. If my great-grandfather could reach level 7 warrior through physical training alone, then I might reach level 8, or even level 9. Nothing is impossible." Level 8 warrior. A level 9 warrior was considered the strongest in the Finley Kingdom. Even if he couldn't restore his family to its glory from 5,000 years ago, becoming a level 8 warrior would greatly improve the family's circumstances. "Hold on." Linley clenched his teeth. By now, his arms ached as if countless ants were gnawing at them. His entire body trembled constantly, and every muscle in every part of his body quivered. He could clearly feel the tremor of each muscle. After a long time, finally, thud, Linley collapsed onto the ground, completely exhausted. So nice, he thought. Lying flat on the ground, his body fully relaxed, he could clearly feel a tingling, itching sensation all over. His muscles were slowly growing after the training. The growth wasn't noticeable after 1 or 2 sessions, but over time, the progress in his physical strength would become obvious. Hillman nodded in satisfaction beside him. Then Hillman turned to the group of 14 and 15-year-olds, his expression turning cold. "Hold on, all of you. Linley is only 8, and you're almost adults. Don't let an 8-year-old outdo you." After the morning training, Linley said goodbye to his friends and returned to the Baruch family mansion as usual. To someone who didn't know him, the 8-year-old Linley would easily be mistaken for an 11 or 12-year-old boy, not a child of 8. Descendants of the Baruch family were indeed different from ordinary people. "Brother," Little Wharton, with his chubby, cute face, rushed toward Linley the moment he saw him. "Wharton, I'm all sweaty. Let me take a bath first," Linley said with a smile, pinching Wharton's cheek. Wharton huffed. "I know. After your bath, you have to go to Father's class." As a noble's son, Linley received noble education from an early age. The Baruch family, an ancient clan with a history of over 5,000 years, was even stricter in education than the great nobles of the kingdom. "Okay, Wharton, I'll play with you at noon," Linley promised. Wharton was still a child, but Linley was much more sensible. After bathing and changing into clean clothes, Linley entered the living room. There, his father, Hog Baruch, sat with a straight back at the dining table by the side of the room. In front of Hog were 3 thick books. "Father," Linley bowed respectfully. Hog nodded coldly, and Linley stood quietly beside him. "Yesterday, I told you about all the countries on the Yulon continent. Now, repeat it to me," Hog said in a cold tone. This was the real Hog. The time he had held Linley in the ancestral hall was a rare soft moment. Normally, Hog's demands on Linley were strict to the extreme. He pursued perfection in everything and would not tolerate the slightest mistake from Linley. "Yes, Father," Linley replied calmly. "The Yulon continent has 3 major dangerous regions. The first mountain range, the Monster Mountain Range, the second mountain range, the Sunset Mountain Range, and the first forest, the Dark Forest. These 3 dangerous regions cover extremely vast areas. Among them, the Monster Mountain Range runs nearly north-south across the continent, stretching over 10,000 miles. It is home to countless monsters, even saint-rank monsters with the power to destroy heaven and earth. The entire continent's structure is also shaped by this Monster Mountain Range. To the west of the Monster Mountain Range, there are 12 kingdoms and 32 duchies. These kingdoms and duchies are mainly divided into 2 factions: the Holy Alliance, led by the Finley Kingdom, and the Dark Alliance, led by the Black Lion Kingdom. The Holy Alliance and the Dark Alliance are affiliated with the Bright Church and the Dark Church respectively, so they are constantly at war with each other. To the east of the Monster Mountain Range, however, there are 4 empires, 6 kingdoms, and numerous duchies. These 4 empires are the largest and not influenced by the Bright Church or the Dark Church. In the 4 empires, royal power is supreme. Any one of these 4 empires is comparable to the Holy Alliance. The 4 empires are the Yulon Empire in the center, the Rhine Empire in the southeast, the Luoao Empire in the east, and the O'Brien Empire in the north. Linley paused here, secretly breathing a sigh of relief after speaking in one go. "That's all." Hog's expression turned colder. Linley was about to continue, but Hog cut him off. "Tell me, how many kingdoms and duchies are there in our Holy Alliance?" "Our Holy Alliance has 6 kingdoms and 10. Linley frowned suddenly. He was unsure how many duchies were in the Holy Alliance. It seemed like 15, but he also thought it might be 17. For a moment, he couldn't be certain. "Humph," Hog snorted coldly. He picked up a thorny stick from the side, and Linley held out his right hand obediently. Hog's eye muscles twitched, and with a sharp crack, the stick struck Linley's right palm firmly. A red welt immediately appeared on Linley's palm, but he only clenched his teeth and didn't make a sound. "Linley, remember this. We live in the Holy Alliance now, so you must know everything about it." Hog stared coldly at his son. On the entire Yulon continent, there are roughly 6 major powers, the 4 empires and the 2 alliances. Linley nodded. Though his father put it simply, it was easy to understand. The Holy Alliance borders the O'Brien Empire in the far north, while the Dark Alliance borders the Yulon Empire in the south. Under the leadership of the Bright Church, our Holy Alliance is just as united as the 4 empires. Linley listened and silently agreed. He had read many books the previous day, and it was clear that the Holy Alliance was regarded as the art center of the entire Yulon continent. At the same time, its economy was on par with that of the Yulon Empire, the continent's top economic power. With the Bright Church supporting it from behind, the Holy Alliance was indeed very powerful. "Today, we will study art," Hog said coldly. "As a noble, you must be proficient in art. Art cultivates a noble's inner temperament." Then he picked up a book as thick as a fist from the side and opened it. In the 3578th year of the Yulon calendar, the great sculptor Prux was born in. Hog continued his strict teaching. while Linley did his best to memorize and understand, striving to meet his father's requirements. Time passed quickly, and soon the grandfather clock in the living room struck 11. It was already 11 a.m. "Is Hog here?" a clear voice called out. The Baruch family mansion had no doorkeeper, so the guest was clearly already in the front courtyard. Hog frowned, set down the thick book in his hand, and said, "Linley, we'll stop here for today." He then forced a smile and walked out of the living room. "Oh, Hog, my dear friend. The other morning, I heard a silk bird singing, and I knew good news would come. Sure enough, I received your letter at noon today. I was overjoyed to read it. Dear Philip, I'm equally glad to see you. Hillman, bring over the stone sculpture, Fierce Lion, I prepared earlier. Philip, come, let's head to the living room first. The sculpture will be here soon." Hearing their conversation, Linley's heart ached. Are we selling another family heirloom? Linley knew the stone sculpture, Fierce Lion, was one of his father's favorites. But the Baruch family, which no longer collected heavy taxes from Wushan town, was truly struggling financially. Thankfully, the Baruch family was extremely ancient, and with its antiquity came many items of long-standing history. Unfortunately, even a wealth of heirlooms couldn't withstand years of selling. There were very few valuable items left in the family now. Linley couldn't help but glance at the grandfather clock in the living room. I wonder when this clock will be sold too. Soon, a middle-aged man with long golden hair and an aristocratic aura walked into the living room with Hog. Linley immediately guessed this must be Philip. "Oh, this lovely boy. He must be your son, Hog," Philip said warmly, looking at Linley. "Linley Baruch, right? May I call you Linley?" "It's an honor, sir," Linley replied, placing his left hand on his chest and bowing respectfully. "What a polite child," Philip seemed pleased. Hog, standing beside them, smiled and said, "Philip, don't tease the boy. The stone sculpture, Fierce Lion you've been longing for is here." As he spoke, Hillman walked into the living room, easily holding the lion sculpture with both hands, then gently set it on the floor. The sculpture weighed nearly 500 kilograms, yet it felt like a toy in Hillman's hands. His strength was evident. "Mr. Hillman, your strength astounds me," Philip said with a smile. "I don't have a guard captain as capable as you in my manor, even though I own 12 towns." His words clearly carried an unspoken invitation to Hillman. Hillman replied coldly, "Wushan town is my hometown, sir." "My apologies," Philip apologized at once. He turned back to Hog. "Hog, I love this sculpture, but I must be honest. The carving skills of this fierce lion aren't top tier, let alone comparable to works by master sculptors." "Hog, if you don't want to sell it, that's fine," Hog said bluntly. Philip narrowed his eyes, then laughed. "Haha, Hog, don't be angry. I'm not saying I won't buy it. I'm just stating a fact. How about I offer 500 gold coins for this sculpture?" 500 gold coins. Hog frowned. This was much lower than his expected price of 800 gold coins. On the Yulon continent, 1 gold coin equals 10 silver coins equals 1,000 copper coins. Ordinary commoners earned 20 to 30 gold coins a year. Even army soldiers only received 100 gold coins annually as military pay. "The price is too low," Hog shook his head. "Surely you know, Hog, there are countless stone sculptures with a 10,000-year history across the Yulon continent. The true value of a sculpture lies in its artistry. And the artistry of this piece, well, I only want it because I personally like it. 500 gold coins is indeed my highest offer. If you won't agree, then so be it." Philip smiled and turned to the grandfather clock in the living room, his eyes lighting up. "Hog, if you're willing to sell that clock, I'd offer 1,000 gold coins for it." Hog's expression turned cold instantly. "Oh, I'd even go to 2,000 gold coins. That's the highest I can go," Philip quickly added. Hog shook his head firmly. "This clock is not for sale. As for the sculpture, 600 gold coins. Take it or leave it." Philip studied Hog carefully for a moment, then laughed. "Very well, Hog. I'll give you this favor. 600 gold coins. Butler, bring 600 gold coins here." The butler, who had been waiting outside the living room, immediately fetched the coins and hurried over to hand them over. There were 6 small yellow bags, one for each 100 gold coins. 600 gold coins, Hog. You can count them if you like, Philip said with a smile. Hog lifted the bags and weighed them in his hand. from their weight and size alone. He confirmed they were 6 bags of 100 gold coins each. He nodded with a smile. "Philip, won't you stay for lunch?" "No, thank you. I have matters to attend to back home," Philip replied with a smile. Philip's elderly butler then instructed 2 strong warriors to lift the stone sculpture and carry it away with some effort. After Philip and his group left, Hogg looked at the 6 bags of gold coins in front of him, a hint of sadness in his eyes. This time it was the stone sculpture. What would it be next? The family still had some items left, but they would eventually run out. "Father, I want to learn stone carving," Linley suddenly said. Linley knew well that on the Yulon continent, famous master sculptors sold their works for at least 10,000 gold coins each. Some well-known pieces even fetched hundreds of thousands. Beyond money, master sculptors also held high social status. "If I become a master sculptor, Father won't have to sell our family's things anymore," Linley thought. Stone carving. Hogg glanced at Linley, his voice cold. "Linley, do you know how many people have learned stone carving? Out of the hundreds of millions in the Holy Alliance, at least several million have tried. But the number of true master sculptors in the entire Holy Alliance can be counted on one hand. Moreover, in stone carving, without a good teacher, you'll never succeed on your own. The stone carving circle isn't something ordinary people can break into. You only see master sculptors selling works for tens of thousands of gold coins or more. But do you know that most stone carvers only earn a few dozen gold coins a year?" Hogg's tone was stern. Linley was taken aback. He had only mentioned stone carving because he thought it could improve the family's situation. He hadn't expected his father to respond with such a long, severe lecture. "Enough. The ancestral hall needs cleaning and organizing. After lunch today, you'll go clean it," Hogg said coldly. "Yes, father," Linley replied respectfully. As Hogg looked at Linley, he sighed inwardly. "Stone carving? Child, do you know I studied stone carving for 10 whole years? But my works were worthless." Hogg had once dreamed of becoming a skilled stone carver. At the very least, it would have greatly improved the family's finances. But he felt helpless. After 10 years of practice, his works remained worthless. The circle of skilled stone carvers was like a pyramid. Famous master sculptors stood at the top. They had status, and their works sold for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of gold coins. Countless ordinary stone carvers, however, were stuck at the bottom. Their works were pitifully cheap. Most were bought by commoners for a few silver coins, just to use as decorations. As the sun set in the west, crimson fire clouds spread across nearly half the sky, dyeing the entire earth red. "Cleaning the ancestral hall was way easier than I thought," Linley muttered as he walked out. He had to admit he'd overprepared. What he'd planned to finish in an hour took only 15 minutes. On the Yulon continent, a year had 12 months, 30 days per month, 24 hours per day, and 60 minutes per hour. Nobles usually owned grandfather clocks to tell time accurately. The extremely wealthy or high-ranking even had exquisite pocket watches. The ancestral hall is cleaned every month. In just a month, there's barely any dirt. Just a quick wipe is enough. I still have nearly an hour before evening training. What should I do? Bored, Linley looked around. The ancient Baruch mansion had a history of over 5,000 years. The front courtyard was cleaned daily, but the vast rear garden, except for the ancestral hall, was covered in dust, with cracks in the other houses and courtyards. Wild weeds and green moss grew all over the corners and stone paths. As he stared at these old, decaying buildings, Linley's eyes gradually lit up. The rear garden hasn't been cleaned in over 100 years. Could there be old, valuable things hidden there? The thought made his heart race. If I find something valuable and give it to Father, he'll definitely be happy. Linley took a deep breath, then walked toward the dilapidated house next to the ancestral hall. He stepped carefully, picking up a sturdy wooden stick to brush away cobwebs as he checked for any items. When he entered the old house, a rotten smell hit his nose. Dense cobwebs clung to the corners, and spiders scurried across them. Many cobwebs covered the surface of some decorations. Upon closer look, the wall decorations were extremely old, though they had long decayed, leaving only faint outlines. If these decorations hadn't rotted and were still intact, they'd probably be worth a lot. Linley shook his head helplessly, then continued searching. With his wooden stick, he brushed away layers of cobwebs, examining every single item carefully. On the ground, on wooden shelves, even checking the walls for hidden mechanisms. According to the books, it's common to have mechanisms built into walls. Linley tapped the walls gently, listening to the sound. Linley enjoyed this treasure hunting in old houses feeling, but he forgot. If he could think of it, wouldn't his father, grandfather, and even older ancestors of the Baruch family have thought of it too? All valuable things in these old houses had long been searched and taken by his ancestors. At 8 years old, Linley was mature for his age thanks to his family's education, but he still couldn't match adults. His thinking wasn't thorough enough. Nothing in this house. On to the next one. Linley walked out of the first old house and headed for the second. There were many buildings in the rear garden. After all, the front courtyard where they now lived was only a third of the entire mansion. The rear area was much larger. Linley guessed it would take a whole day to search everything. All the decorations are rotting. Not a single valuable thing. Linley sighed as he walked out of yet another old house. He glanced at the sky. Evening training starts in about 15 minutes. Linley turned around and stared at a large old house in the distance. Just that one, the biggest one. I'll spend 10 minutes searching it. If I find nothing, I'll head to training right away. Having made up his mind, Linley ran toward the largest old house. This house was even bigger than the living room in the front courtyard. Stepping inside, Linley looked around carefully. I bet this was where the Baruch family held banquets hundreds of years ago, he thought. He could tell from the decorations and layout that this was a living room, and a very spacious, grand one at that. First, search the ground. Linley knelt down, eyes wide, checking every spot. He prodded anything he saw with his wooden stick to identify it, ignoring stones. With training approaching, he searched much faster. Now search the walls and decorations. Come on, last chance. Linley puffed out his cheeks, looking around. Ancestors, please leave me just one or two things. Even a small trinket. He examined every corner carefully, even checking behind the decayed wall decorations. By the wall stood a wooden shelf with drawers. Linley opened each drawer one by one, but they were all empty, except for dust. Sigh. Linley felt a wave of disappointment after checking the last drawer. I searched for so long and found nothing valuable. I'm all sweaty and covered in dust for nothing. He looked at his dirty clothes, feeling frustrated. Linley scanned the old house. Fine, I'm leaving, he muttered angrily, throwing his wooden stick hard at the nearby shelf, as if venting the frustration of nearly an hour's useless effort. Slap! The stick hit the shelf solidly. The shelf was already ancient and rotted after over 100 years. It could barely hold itself together. The hard blow made it creak loudly. Hearing the noise, Linley turned around in alarm. Oh no, it's going to collapse. He'd knocked over some decayed decorations in previous old houses, so he knew what to do. He quickly stepped back. The shelf, twice Linley's height, finally fell with a loud boom. It shattered into 7 or 8 pieces, kicking up a cloud of dust. Amidst the dust, Linley didn't notice a black ring, hidden in the shelf's hidden compartment for who knew how long. Fall to the ground and roll away. Cough, cough. Linley coughed 2 or 3 times, waving his sleeve to fan away the dust. What bad luck. I'm covered in dust, and training starts soon. I need to wash up and change clothes right away. He waved a hand to clear the air, then walked toward the old house's door. The black ring had rolled right near the threshold. Linley had taken 3 or 4 steps toward the threshold when he suddenly stopped. He clearly felt his foot step on something like a large pebble. I didn't see this pebble near the threshold when I checked earlier. It must be a splinter from the broken shelf, Linley thought, still annoyed about the collapsed shelf. He ground his foot hard on the splinter. He expected that if it were a rotted piece of wood, it would crumble under his step. But, whoa, it's so hard. What is this? Surprised by how solid the object was, Linley lifted his foot to look closely. There, lying quietly on the ground, was a dull black, ring-like thing covered in dust, so plain it almost blended in. Oh, it's a ring? Linley's eyes sharpened. He picked up the black ring happily, then wiped it vigorously with his dirty sleeve. Only then did he see the true appearance of the black, ring-shaped object. It was completely black, made of a material that felt like both wood and stone. Carved on its band was a blurry, twisted shape. An earthworm. Linley frowned at the carving. At first glance, he thought the twisted long shape looked like an earthworm. Linley chuckled to himself. This carving is terrible. Even a random person could do better. And there's no precious diamond on it, let alone a magic crystal. Most rings had diamonds or magic crystals inlaid on them. But this black ring was just made of that dark, woodstone material. No sign of diamonds or magic crystals at all. It was clearly worthless. For some reason, though, Linley took a liking to it. Maybe it was because it was the only treasure he'd found after all his efforts searching the old house. Well, it's too big for my finger. I'll thread it with a string and wear it as a pendant. Linley's eyes lit up. At 8 years old, his hands were much smaller than an adult's, so he couldn't wear the ring. What should I name it? Earthworm ring. No, that's ugly. Linley thought for a moment, then smiled. Hey, that twisted shape could also be a dragon. A dragon coiled around the ring. I'll call it the coiling dragon ring. Even though he still thought the shape looked more like an earthworm, he named it the coiling dragon ring anyway. Coiling dragon ring. Linley held up the dark, ancient ring and grinned brightly. Due to the family's financial troubles, this was the first pendant Linley had ever owned. And since he'd found it himself after so much effort, he loved it even more. Oh no, evening training is almost starting. Linley suddenly realized, panicking. He looked down at his dusty, dirty clothes. He looked like a beggar. Crap. Without another thought, he ran out of the old house and straight to the bathhouse. Splash. Linley poured water directly over himself. His skin was a healthy wheat color, and his body already had neat muscle lines, proof of his training. The water washed away the dust quickly. He washed up as fast as he could, then rushed to change into his training clothes. String, I need string. Linley hurried to find something to thread the coiling dragon ring with. When he saw a tattered linen shirt, his eyes lit up. He pulled a thin thread straight from it. Linen was plain, but strong and durable, and the thread was tough too. He quickly threaded the ring, tied a knot, and put it around his neck. I'm going to be late. My first time being late. Linley dashed out of the house, tucking the coiling dragon pendant inside his clothes as he ran. Feeling the pendant's cool touch against his chest, his mood lifted. A little lateness was worth it for the coiling dragon ring. Linley even felt happy. He sprinted out of the Baruch Mansion's gate and headed straight for the eastern open space of Wushan Town. On the town's streets, many commoners who'd finished their day's work were walking home. When they saw Linley running, they guessed why. Master Linley, don't rush, don't trip. Lord Hillman is strict. Master Linley might get punished. The Baruch family had always been kind to commoners, so the townsfolk loved Linley. What kind of punishment will Uncle Hillman give me? Linley wondered as he ran, too busy to greet the townsfolk. In no time, he reached the eastern open space. By then, all 3 training teams had gathered, and Hillman was speaking. Hearing Linley's footsteps, Hillman's sharp gaze turned toward him. Linley ran to the side of his team, stopped, and waited anxiously for Hillman to speak. Your training task today is doubled. Join your team, Hillman said calmly. Yes, sir. Linley stood straight and replied loudly. The other teenagers secretly winced. Being late just a little meant doubling the task. It looked like Linley wouldn't make it home for dinner that night. Just as Linley was running to his spot in the team, boom, the ground suddenly trembled faintly, and the tremors were surprisingly rhythmic, as if a giant creature was stomping toward them, shaking the earth with each step. It's coming from the east. Linley instantly pinpointed the direction. He wasn't the only one. Hillman, Rory, Roger, and the others all looked solemnly toward the east. The tremors grew clearer, and every teenager could tell the rhythm meant a huge beast was approaching. Each thud of those earth-shaking footsteps felt like a blow to Linley's heart. What kind of giant creature could it be? Linley's eyes widened as he stared fixedly at the east. The giant creature causing the ground to tremble finally appeared. The moment Linley and the other kids saw it, they froze in terror. But Hillman, Rory, and Roger reacted instantly. They stepped in front of the children, watching the beast warily. A level 7 magical beast, the Rapid Dragon. Hillman's face paled. Rory and Roger beside him even felt their legs go weak. "That's so big. Is that a legendary magical beast?" Linley was completely stunned. In his 8 years, the largest animal Linley had ever seen was a warhorse passing through the town, tall, nearly 1.8 meters high. But compared to the giant in front of him, that warhorse was like an infant next to a giant. The difference was unimaginable. The rapid dragon's body was as tall as a two-story house and stretched 20 to 30 meters long. Magical beast, rapid dragon. Its body was covered in massive, fiery red scales, each glinting with a cold, metallic sheen. Just looking at them sent a chill to one's core. Its four scale-covered legs were astonishingly thick, probably needing two people to wrap their arms around. The entire beast was fiery red, except for its claws, which were a cold, dark black. Its tail, nearly half the length of its body and covered in red scales, lashed the ground like a whip. Every lazy sweep left deep furrows in the earth. Huff! The rapid dragon let out a low snort, puffing two clouds of white, sulfur-scented smoke from its nostrils. Its enormous, diamond-like eyes, each the size of a lantern, glowed with an eerie red light. The beast turned its massive head toward Linley and the other teenagers. The cold red glow in its eyes froze every child in place. Crunch, crunch, the rapid dragon's jaws moved, revealing two rows of jagged, saw-like teeth, each one gleaming white, sending a cold shiver through everyone. No one doubted how sharp they were. Linley felt his heart almost stop beating. In that moment, he could barely hear any sound around him. It's too terrifying. Can anyone stop this monster? Linley was petrified. Just seeing the giant magical beast made him feel utterly powerless. He was certain that a single lash of the rapid dragon's whip-like tail could turn Wushan Town's sturdy stone houses to rubble. Is this Wushan Town? A cold voice suddenly came from above the rapid dragon. The terrified teenagers stared dazedly at the beast's back. There, sitting cross-legged on the rapid dragon's broad back, was a mysterious figure cloaked in purple. The beast was so huge, its back so wide, that someone could lie down or even roll around on it. Great magician, this is indeed Wushan Town. Is there anything I can do to serve you? Hillman's voice rang out. Hearing Hillman speak, everyone felt as if they'd found an anchor, snapping out of their stunned fear. But no one, including Rory and Roger, dared to speak. They just stood behind Hillman, staring in terror at the giant rapid dragon and the mysterious purple-cloaked magician. Wushan Town. So I didn't take the wrong road. The purple-cloaked figure muttered softly. After that, the mysterious figure fell silent. The rapid dragon's huge, cold red eyes swept over Linley and the others. Then it puffed two more clouds of smoke from its nostrils and continued walking toward the town. Hillman's face paled as he watched the beast head into Wushan Town. Everyone stay here, Hillman said, then followed closely behind the rapid dragon. Uncle Rory, what is that? Is it a magical beast? Linley was the first to ask. Rory swallowed hard, a trace of fear still in his eyes, but he nodded. Yes, it's a magical beast, a very powerful one. A level 7 rapid dragon. Rapid dragon. Linley etched the name deeply into his mind. The rapid dragon's enormous body, hard scales, sharp claws, and powerful tail. Everything about it was terrifying. Linley was sure that one rapid dragon could destroy the entire Wushan Town. The rapid dragon's scales have incredible defense, and its attack power is terrifying. It's also skilled in highly aggressive fire element magic. Rory's voice trembled as he explained to Linley. Against a terrifying beast like this, even a 1,000-man army would be massacred. Only a team of level 6 or 7 warriors and magicians working together could truly pierce its scales and harm it. Linley's heart jolted. A 1,000-man army would be massacred? But the most terrifying thing isn't the rapid dragon. It's that mysterious purple-cloaked figure. Rory took 2 deep breaths, trying to calm his nerves. Roger beside him nodded in agreement. Right. To tame a rapid dragon, you need to make it willing to serve you. That means this purple-cloaked figure is far stronger than the rapid dragon. From his clothes, he must be a magician. At least a level 7 magician, maybe even level 8. Roger clenched his fists. I never thought such an important figure would come to our small town. Linley could feel the fear in Rory and Roger's hearts. A level 7 magical beast, rapid dragon, and a mysterious magician stronger than it. This was truly terrifying. A magician stronger than that rapid dragon? Linley still found it hard to believe. The rapid dragon had a huge, terrifying body, hard scales, sharp claws, and a sturdy tail, while the mysterious magician was so small. Roar! A sudden roar echoed from the center of Wushan Town. Oh no! Rory and Roger froze in panic. Linley and the other teenagers also grew worried. Was the rapid dragon roaring because of Wushan Town? Because of Uncle Hillman? No one knew. All of you stay here, Rory and Roger said, though fear still gripped them. They rushed toward the town center. Linley gritted his teeth. Uncle Hillman. He was just as worried about Hillman and the other townsfolk, so he followed. At that moment, Rory and Roger were so focused on the rapid dragon that they didn't notice Linley trailing behind them. In no time, Rory and Roger reached the town center. Hillman was watching from a distance. Why did you come? Hillman snapped. But when he saw Linley running over not far behind Rory and Roger, Hillman frowned. Linley, it's too dangerous here. Go back at once. Only then did Rory and Roger realize Linley had followed them. Linley, what are you doing? They didn't know what to say. Uncle Hillman, I'm not going back, Linley refused. Hillman shook his head helplessly. He knew Linley was extremely stubborn. Once he made up his mind, it was hard to change it. Fine. Stay right beside me. Don't wander off. With you by my side, I'm confident I can keep you safe. Thank you, Uncle Hillman. I won't move an inch, Linley said happily. By then, Hillman and the others were standing about 100 meters from the rapid dragon, peering quietly at the source of the conflict. In front of the giant beast stood a group of young people, 4 men and 3 women. Captain, what's happening up ahead? Rory whispered to Hillman. A faint smile tugged at Hillman's lips. That mysterious magician and the mercenary team have a conflict. We just need to watch from here. Don't interfere. Hillman himself was only a level 6 warrior. In truth, he didn't dare get involved. Even the rapid dragon alone was more than he could handle, let alone the mysterious magician. This 7-person mercenary team was no weak force, 5 warriors and 2 magicians. Leading them was a burly man with messy red hair, mounted on a jet-black iron ox. The ox's 2 sharp, dark, curved horns glinted like metal, and its blood-red eyes revealed its identity. A level 5 magical beast, the bloodthirsty iron ox. The bloodthirsty iron ox snorted, puffing 2 clouds of white mist from its nostrils. Of the 7 mercenaries, 4 men, 3 women, the magicians were both women, and 1 woman was an archer. Besides the bloodthirsty iron ox, the team had a second magical beast, a giant griffin flying in the air. A griffin, level 4 magical beast. It had a lion's head and powerful, muscular wings. For a mercenary team to have 2 magical beasts plus 2 magicians, it was clearly no ordinary group. Young people, hand over the Dipello Shadow Diamond. The mysterious magician, still sitting cross-legged on the rapid dragon's back, spoke again in a cold voice. Great magician, we don't want to be your enemies, the red-haired burly leader said seriously. But we risked everything to get this Dipello Shadow Diamond. It's worth 100,000 gold coins, yet you only offer 700 to buy it. That's impossible. From a distance, beside Hillman, Linley finally understood. The mysterious magician was trying to forcefully buy the Dipello Shadow Diamond, worth 100,000 gold coins, for just 700. The Dipello Shadow Diamond, is that valuable? Linley was shocked. It must be something important to make the magician disregard his status and force this deal. 700 gold coins for a 100,000 gold treasure. No wonder the mercenaries refused. The mysterious magician snorted. I only have 700 gold coins with me. Right now, I'm still offering money to buy it. If you keep being so ungrateful, you'll get no gold at all, and you'll lose your lives too. His voice turned even colder. Roar. The rapid dragon, taller than most town buildings, let out a low growl. The roar made the houses along the street shake. Captain, we risked our lives for this diamond, a woman in a black robe snapped. As veteran mercenaries, they'd survived countless battles and wouldn't back down easily. The red-haired leader spoke in a deep voice. Respected magician, I am of the Kale family of the Finley Kingdom. He tried to use his family background to pressure the magician. But powerful magicians often had eccentricities and cared nothing for nobles. You're asking for death, the mysterious magician muttered. Watch out. The 7 mercenaries tensed instantly. The 4 male warriors took the front. The female archer pulled a powerful compound bow from her back. The 2 female magicians began preparing their spells. Roar. The giant rapid dragon opened its mouth, and a massive burst of flame shot toward the mercenary team. Where the flame passed, the stone pavement in the town's central street swelled, cracked and shattered under the intense heat. Many stones split into fissures, and the entire road was left charred black. "Be careful," the red-haired leader said softly. A red chi shield suddenly appeared around his body. The other 3 warriors also summoned their chi shields. The red-haired man swung his two-handed greatsword hard at the wall of a nearby stone house. With a deafening thud, the entire wall collapsed. Hundreds of stones rolled to the ground, kicking up clouds of dust. At the same time, the rapid dragon's flames engulfed the 4 warriors. Their chi shields hissed under the heat. "Huh." The red-haired leader kicked hard at a stone nearly half a meter in diameter. The other 3 male warriors did the same. Each kicked a boulder. The stones flew like projectiles from a catapult, slicing through the air with sharp whistles, straight toward the mysterious magician on the rapid dragon's back. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More and more stones were kicked toward the magician. Soon, most of the fallen stones from the collapsed house were launched. From a distance, Linley watched, spellbound, his fists clenched tight. "They're amazing. They can kick such big stones so easily." As he watched the 4 human catapults launch boulders, his admiration for the warrior path grew. But the rapid dragon is even more terrifying. Linley looked at the giant beast. Its whip-like tail swung like lightning. Crack, crack, crack. Each boulder was smashed to pieces by the tail. None could reach the magician on its back. Splash. The rapid dragon's tail swung wildly, with no regard for its surroundings. It slammed into nearby stone houses, and the solid walls crumbled like mud. One house after another collapsed, stones rolling everywhere, dust filling the air. Roar, roar. Amidst the dust, the rapid dragon's roars and its gouts of flame echoed. From the start, the 2 female magicians had been quietly chanting ancient magic incantations. Unlike the common language of the Yulan continent, the words were twisted and complex. Their chanting didn't last long, and soon they finished. "Ice Guardian armor," they shouted in unison. 2 streaks of white light flew from each magician, for in total, the light wrapped around the 4 men, forming a layer of translucent, crystal-like armor over their bodies. The red-haired leader's face lit up. With both the Ice Guardian armor and his chi shield, he felt more confident. "Attack," he ordered. The 4 warriors kicked boulders at the magician simultaneously. Then, they pushed off the ground, leaping over 10 meters like arrows, charging straight toward the rapid dragon. Roar, flames spewed from the rapid dragon's mouth, engulfing an area of dozens of meters around it. A sea of fire. Sizzle, the flames scorched the bodies of the 4 warriors, but with the protection of the Ice Guardian armor and their chi shields, they could withstand the burning. As for the female archer, she had already climbed onto the griffin's back, ready to shoot arrows from the air. The bloodthirsty iron ox stood like a wall, guarding the 2 female magicians. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. From the griffin's back, the female archer stared coldly, her hands steady as stone. She shot 3 sharp arrows in quick succession, aimed straight at the mysterious magician on the rapid dragon's back. Swoosh. The rapid dragon's whip-like tail swung like lightning, faster than the arrows themselves. In an instant, it shattered the archer's triple shot. Then, the tail reversed direction and lashed toward the 4 male warriors. The whistling sound of the tail cutting through the air made the warriors' faces pale. They dodged as quickly as apes. But the tail swing was not a straight line. It floated up and down, moving eerily. Thud! One warrior still couldn't dodge in time. The tail slammed hard into his waist. The Ice Guardian armor and chi shield shattered in the blink of an eye. Then the tail coiled tightly around the warrior's body. Luca, the red-haired, burly man's eyes nearly split with urgency. He roared. "No!" Luca screamed in terror. The rapid dragon flicked its tail, and the trapped Luca was thrown straight into its open jaws. The beast clamped down, and a sickening crunch echoed, followed by Luca's final, agonized howl. Under the rapid dragon's dense, saw-like teeth, Luca was crushed to pieces. A bloody section of his thigh fell from the corner of the beast's mouth, white leg bone protruding from the broken knee. "Don't look!" Hillman stepped in front of Linley, blocking his view. The scene was far too gory. Even adults would feel fear upon seeing such a sight for the first time, let alone an 8-year-old child like Linley. But Linley had already seen it. Gasp, gasp. Linley felt as if a boulder was pressing on his chest. He struggled to breathe. Whispers escaped him, but his mind was filled with the image of the young man named Luca being crushed alive. The torn abdomen, the broken intestines, the smashed skull, the falling half-thigh. Everything made Linley dizzy and short of breath. It was the first time Linley had witnessed a battle this brutal, the first time he'd seen a man eaten alive by a giant rapid dragon. That image of the falling half-thigh was etched deeply into his mind. Hillman, Rory, and Roger exchanged glances, their eyes filled with worry for Linley. Could an 8-year-old child bear such a bloody, horrifying scene? Would it leave a shadow in his heart? If a child developed fear of battle at a young age, his future achievements would be limited. Killing, it's nothing. Linley tried to convince himself. When I grow up, I'll join the army anyway. I have to get through this. I have to. Linley was indeed smart. Having read many books, he knew the path he would take. On the Yulon continent, it was common for men to face life and death when they grew up. But Linley was still a child. He had never faced death before. As he kept reassuring himself, the shock and fear in his heart gradually faded. Instead, after a moment, Linley felt his blood boil. That battle, it's so intense, so exciting. For some reason, the brutal, fierce scene had stirred his blood, awakening a longing for battle and killing in his heart. Is it because of the Dragonblood warrior bloodline? Linley didn't know, but he suddenly realized. He was looking forward to this kind of bloody battle. He stepped aside, moving past Hillman, and continued to watch the battle 100 meters ahead. Linley, don't look. Hillman was shocked when he saw Linley still wanting to watch. Uncle Hillman, I'm not afraid. Linley looked up at Hillman. Hillman suddenly saw a flicker of excited red light in Linley's pupils. He was stunned and didn't stop Linley again. Linley turned back to the battlefield ahead, and by then, the fight had reached its most brutal moment. The other 3 grief-stricken warriors leaped forward at the same time, charging straight toward the mysterious magician on the rapid dragon's back. Roar! The rapid dragon roared, turning its head and opening its massive jaws to bite one warrior, while its sharp claws swung at another. Its lightning-fast tail lashed at the last warrior. The warriors were forced to change their course. The mysterious magician on the rapid dragon's back had remained motionless this entire time. Only his lips moved slightly, letting the rapid dragon fight alone. Dance of the Fire Serpents. The magician's cold voice suddenly rang out. 7 fire serpents, each dozens of meters long, twisted and roared as they flew in all directions. Each serpent looked lifelike, with distinct scales. Their enormous size sent chills down everyone's spines. Everyone froze at the sight. A level 8 fire magic, Dance of the Fire Serpents. The mysterious magician had been quietly chanting incantations the whole time, preparing this terrifying level 8 spell. Dance of the Fire Serpents summoned 7 giant fire serpents, with devastating attack power. Even the rapid dragon's incredible defense would be heavily injured, if not killed, by 7 such serpents. Against a level 7 magician, the mercenary team could still fight for a while, but against a level 8 magician, plus a rapid dragon, they stood no chance. They finally realized, this mysterious magician was a level 8 magician. Its Dance of the Fire Serpents, run. The red-haired, burly man's face turned deathly pale. He screamed shrilly. The remaining 6 members of the mercenary team were filled with terror. It's too late. Accept the baptism of death. The mysterious magician's cold, mad voice pierced the hearts of the 6 mercenaries like an icy blade. The 7 fire serpents flew at incredible speed. Wherever they passed in midair, even the houses along the town's streets caught fire. Flames soared into the sky, turning the area into a scene of disaster. The townsfolk of Wushan Town, who had long hidden in the distance to watch, felt sorrow and grief as they saw their homes destroyed. Before the 7 giant fire serpents, stone houses crumbled like toys, and flames filled the sky. Go! The female archer didn't hesitate any longer. She urged the griffin to fly high into the sky. Fire magicians had a range limit for controlling their fire serpents. If she flew beyond that range, she would be safe. Sizzle! 2 fire serpents coiled around each other, encircling the 2 female magicians and the bloodthirsty iron ox. Instantly, the sound of burning flesh filled the air. Linley could even smell the stench of scorched hair. Brother Kale, help us! The female magician's shrill screams came from within the fire serpents. Huff, huff, the bloodthirsty iron ox's eyes turned terrifyingly red. Its muscles twisted and bulged as it roared repeatedly, trying to break free from the fire serpent's grip. But the binding force of each fire serpent was terrifyingly strong. Louisa, the red-haired, burly man, let out an agonized, shrill roar. The two pretty female magicians and the bloodthirsty iron ox turned to ash in moments. But the red-haired man had no time to grieve. He and the other two male warriors each had to face a giant fire serpent. Before the massive serpents, they were as helpless as infants. Even if they could smash boulders with one punch, what could they do when coiled by a fire serpent's body? The three warriors were wrapped in fire serpents, letting out shrill howls. Amidst their cries, their chi shields shattered instantly. The sizzle of burning flesh echoed, the warriors' faces twisted in agony, their eyes bulging. Their hair was burned away in an instant, and their skin, muscles, and bones. None could resist the terrifying heat of the fire serpent's flames. The three powerful warriors turned to ash in mere moments. Gasp, gasp! The female archer panted heavily. She had finally flown beyond the range of the dance of the fire serpents. Luca, Louisa, Brother Kale, I will avenge you, I promise. She wept bitterly, then urged the griffin to fly higher into the sky. Boom! A thick bolt of lightning suddenly struck down from the sky, hitting the unsuspecting female archer directly. She turned to ash instantly. The griffin, its body charred black, twitched and fell from the sky, crashing heavily into a commoner's stone house, smashing through the roof and tumbling inside. Trying to escape? Umph! The mysterious magician snorted softly. 100 meters away, Hillman swallowed hard, a trace of uncontrollable fear in his heart. He's not just a level 8 magician, he's a dual-element magician too. That was called Dance of the Fire Serpents. Linley stood frozen in place, completely stunned. The sight of the 7 giant fire serpents soaring into the sky, their flames surging with heat, filled Linley with unprecedented awe. Each fire serpent was nearly as large as the rapid dragon. 7 of them filling the sky was like a disaster descending. Houses burned and collapsed, flames towering into the clouds. In the blink of an eye, the 4 powerful warriors, 2 magicians, 1 archer, and 2 magical beasts were all dead, except for the griffin, whose fate was unknown. The 7 giant fire serpents had vanished, but Linley could still feel the terrifying heat lingering around the battlefield. The site of the fight had been reduced to complete ruins, and the lingering heat seemed to tell the story of the battle that had just unfolded. As so powerful, Linley's breathing was still rapid. His mind replayed the scene of the 7 fire serpents soaring into the sky, like a disaster come to life. Compared to that, even the terrifying rapid dragon seemed slightly inferior. Linley's gaze suddenly fell on the mysterious magician on the rapid dragon's back in the distance. Compared to the rapid dragon, the magician's figure was tiny. He was the one who cast Dance of the Fire Serpents. Linley could barely believe it. A man who looked smaller in build than Uncle Hillman had unleashed such a terrifying, catastrophic attack. A trace of fear rose in Linley's heart toward the mysterious figure cloaked in purple. So this is what a magician is. For the first time, Linley had a clear understanding of what a magician was. And at the same time, a longing for the power of strong magicians took root in his heart. If only I could unleash an attack like that someday, Linley thought. The idea made his blood boil with extreme excitement. In that moment, Linley knew the path he would take in the future, to pursue the peak of power. Father! Linley suddenly spotted his father, Hog. As the owner of Wushan Town, Hog could only feel helpless as his town suffered this unexpected disaster. Don't speak. Hog glanced at Linley, signaling him to stay quiet. He then looked at the magician, bitterness in his heart. A level 8 dual-element magician, there are barely a handful stronger than him in the entire Finley Kingdom. How did such a figure end up in our small Wushan town? Hog could only hope the mysterious magician would leave soon, letting Wushan town return to peace. The mysterious magician jumped down from the rapid dragon's back. From a height of 2 stories, he landed easily. He walked to the spot where the red-haired, burly man had been burned to ash. With a wave of his hand, the ash was swept aside, revealing a purple diamond that glowed with a dreamy, brilliant light, the Dipello Shadow Diamond. The magician reached out and picked it up. Haha, the Dipello Shadow Diamond. I've been searching for it for 10 years. I never thought I'd find it by chance just by taking a shortcut through this small town. Haha, Hymens, now that I have the Dipello Shadow Diamond, I'll inlay it into my staff. Let's see how you dare to fight me now. Haha, the mysterious magician's mad laughter echoed. Hog, the noble of Wushan town, and the crowd of commoners stood quietly in the distance, daring not to make a sound, afraid of angering the mysterious magician. Wushan town. Who owns this town? The mysterious magician suddenly asked. Father, Linley's heart skipped a beat. Hog had no choice but to step forward, bowing respectfully. Great magician, this Wushan town is my territory. Oh, the mysterious magician replied faintly, his face still hidden beneath the purple cloak. Your town has suffered quite a loss today. I killed all the mercenaries. They had quite a bit of gold on them. Even if the gold melted in the dance of the fire serpents, it can still be exchanged for money. Consider it compensation for your town. Hearing this, Hog felt a wave of relief. This magician would likely not go on a rampant killing spree. Hog, thank you for your kindness on behalf of Wushan town. Hog bowed respectfully again. The mysterious magician nodded slightly, then walked toward the rapid dragon. The beast knelt down, stretching out its front legs. The magician stepped on its forelegs, took 2 steps, then leaped gently onto its back. Huff, the rapid dragon snorted, puffing 2 clouds of sulfur-scented mist from its nostrils. Then it continued forward, its heavy steps shaking the ground. The townsfolk of Wushan town watched as the giant rapid dragon and the mysterious magician walked away, finally disappearing at the end of the town street. Only then did they slowly let go of the tens. Only after watching the level 7 magical beast, Rapid Dragon, and the mysterious magician leave did Hog finally let out a sigh of relief. Uncle Hillary, Hog turned directly to the butler. Arrange for people to search the ashes for gold ingots. This mercenary team was no ordinary group, so they must have had a lot of money. I hope it can make up for Wushan town's losses this time. Hog glanced around. Houses that had once stood in rows were now nothing but ruins. Yes, my lord, Hillary nodded. Hillman, Hog looked at Hillman beside him and smiled. How do you feel? Hillman also nodded. I was worried sick. As soon as I saw the level 7 rapid dragon and that mysterious magician, I knew Wushan town had no way to resist them. A noble figure like an level 8 magician could destroy our town on a whim, and no one would blame them, let alone punish them. Magicians held extremely high status. Even ordinary magicians were on par with nobles. An level 8 magician didn't even need to kneel before a kingdom's king. They could stand and speak directly to the monarch. This showed just how revered level 8 magicians were. You're right, Hog said with a smile. So we should be grateful. At least no townsfolk died. We certainly should, Hillman agreed, smiling too. Hillman, help Uncle Hillary here. Make sure the commoners who lost their homes have a place to stay, Hog instructed. Yes, Lord Hog, Hillman replied. Hog glanced behind him, then looked at Hillman in confusion. Huh? Where's Linley? He was right here a moment ago. I don't know. I didn't notice, Hillman shook his head. My lord, Master Linley has already gone back, Hillary spoke up from the side. But he seemed distracted when he left. I couldn't tell what he was thinking about. Hog nodded thoughtfully. The Baruch family mansion had few things in abundance, but it had plenty of rooms. At the family's peak, hundreds of people had lived there. Now, only a handful remained. Even Linley, an 8-year-old, had his own room. Linley's bedroom. Linley sat cross-legged on his bed alone, brows furrowed in thought. His mind replayed the terrifying scene of the dance of the fire serpents over and over. 7 fire serpents, as thick as water vats and dozens of meters long, soaring into the sky, flames surging toward the clouds. The area around them had become a sea of fire, and the mercenary team's powerful warriors and magicians had turned to ashen moments. Magicians are so strong. Linley felt a thrill in his heart. I have the Dragonblood warrior bloodline, but its concentration is too low, and it rejects all other chi manuals. That limits how far I can go as a warrior. I wonder if I could ever become a magician instead. Linley suddenly wanted to be a magician. The rapid dragon was terrifying too. If I had a rapid dragon of my own. He recalled the beast's image, its lightning-fast tail, which could smash boulders and destroy houses with a single swing, its massive body, like a giant siege engine in an army. With its size and hard scales, a charging rapid dragon would be utterly terrifying. Magical beasts. I wonder how to get one, Linley thought, longing for a magical beast of his own. No matter how hard he tried, Linley couldn't fall asleep. He tossed and turned on the bed, his mind filled with images of the giant rapid dragon and the mysterious magician casting Dance of the Fire Serpents. "Linley? What's wrong?" A familiar voice sounded. Linley sat up abruptly. Looking up, he saw his father Hog, who was now looking at him with a smile of approval. "Father," Linley greeted respectfully, then frowned in confusion. "Father, you're smiling at me? And you look like this?" Hog was always strict with Linley. He rarely smiled warmly at him. This expression, in particular, surprised Linley. "Well done, Linley. Well done," Hog praised him. "Truly a son of the Dragonblood warrior family. You have the finest qualities of a warrior. If the descendants of Dragonblood warriors feared life and death, feared bloodshed and battle, that would be truly ridiculous." Linley immediately understood. His father was talking about how he hadn't been scared off by the gory scene of the rapid dragon crushing Luca alive. Linley looked surprised. "Father, you saw that? How could I not notice the commotion from the rapid dragon?" Hog nodded. "I came out as soon as the rapid dragon reached Wushan town. I was just watching from another direction. I saw everything you did with Hillman clearly." Linley let out a small laugh. He'd initially felt terrified, but later his blood had boiled, and he'd felt an urge to fight. He'd suspected it was because of the Dragonblood warrior bloodline. Hog smiled. "Linley, was today's shock so great that you forgot about dinner?" "Dinner?" Linley froze. Gurgle, his stomach rumbled right on cue. Linley suddenly remembered. He'd gone to evening training, but before it even started, he'd run into the rapid dragon and the mysterious magician. He should have had dinner as soon as he got back, but his mind had been full of the mind-shaking Dance of the Fire Serpents and the rapid dragon. "Father, I want to ask, can descendants of the Dragonblood warrior family become magicians?" Linley's hands tightened around the bedsheets, and he stared fixedly at his father. Hog froze, then understood. His son wanted to be a magician. "It's possible," Hog nodded. Joy lit up Linley's eyes. Hog waved his hand to calm him down. "Linley, there have been magicians in the Dragonblood warrior family's history, but only 2. You should know magicians rely heavily on talent. Only 1 in 10,000 people has a chance to become a magician. That's just a 1 in 10,000 shot. The odds are too slim. So don't get your hopes up too high." But Linley shook his head. "Father, I'll fight for even the smallest chance," he said seriously. Hog looked at his 8-year-old son's serious face. Normally, a child's serious expression would be funny, but Hog couldn't laugh now. He thought for a moment, then said, "Linley, every year during enlistment season, in late autumn, there are magic student recruitment tests in the capital, Finley City. If you really want to try, you can go this late autumn." "Late autumn? That's only half a year away." Linley's eyes sparkled with excitement. During dinner, the 3 members of the Baruch family sat down to eat with butler Hillary. Little Wharton made a fuss at the table, filling the living room with laughter. After dinner, Hillary carried Wharton off to bed, leaving Linley to talk with his father Hog. "Father, which is stronger, magicians or warriors?" Linley asked. Hog glanced at him, smiled, and shook his head. "Linley, magicians and warriors each have their own strengths. In terms of pure power, magicians at the same level are slightly stronger than warriors. But most importantly, magicians hold far higher status, 1 rank above warriors. Take that level 8 dual-element magician we saw earlier. In terms of status, even a level 9 warrior would be slightly inferior to him. If they're only slightly stronger, why is their status so much higher?" Linley frowned in confusion. Hog laughed. "First, you need to understand magician ranks. Magicians are divided into 9 levels. Levels 1 to 2 are junior magicians, 3 to 4 are intermediate, 5 to 6 are advanced. Levels 7, 8, and 9 above them are terrifyingly powerful. And beyond level 9, there are saint-rank magicians. Magicians have high status because their destructive power is enormous," Hog said, picking up a glass of juice and taking a small sip. "Destructive power?" Linley looked at his father. Hog set down the glass and nodded. "A warrior, Even a Dragonblood warrior can only kill nearly 100 enemies with a single sword. Facing an army of 1,000,000, they can at most kill the commander. But if the commander dies, the enemy just replaces them. What about a saint-rank magician? A single forbidden spell can destroy a city and wipe out hundreds of thousands of soldiers. If the army is gone, what's the use of a living commander? For a kingdom, a saint-rank magician is more terrifying than an entire army. Linley suddenly understood. Not even saint-rank magicians, level 8 and 9 magicians alone can unleash incredible power in war. That's why their status is so revered, Hogg said with a calm smile. Linley nodded softly. On the Yulon continent, where war was a constant theme, it made sense that magicians held such high status. Oh, right. Father, I remember reading in a book that magicians have weaker bodies than warriors. But the magician we saw jumped down from the rapid dragon's back easily. Does that mean his body isn't weak? Linley pressed further. Hogg replied, let's set that question aside for a moment. Linley, you should know that ordinary people on the Yulon continent live to be around 120 to 130 years old. Powerful magicians and warriors, though, live much longer, usually 200 to 300 years, even 300 to 400. The maximum human lifespan is 500 years. Only those who reach the legendary saint rank gain extremely long, nearly endless lives. Linley nodded. He'd read this in books before. But Linley, do you know why powerful magicians and warriors live longer? Hogg asked next. Linley froze. He'd always taken it for granted that strong magicians and warriors lived 300 to 400 years. He'd never thought to question why. Seeing Linley's expression, Hogg laughed. First, I need to tell you, the world is filled with elemental energies: fire, water, wind, earth, thunder, light, dark, and more. Both magicians and warriors cultivate by absorbing these elemental energies. That's why both magic and chi have elemental attributes. If you paid attention, you'd have noticed the 4 male warriors in the mercenary team. The red-haired leader had fire element chi, and the other 3 had wind or water element chi. Chi has elements, and so does magic. It was the first time Linley had learned that magicians and warriors absorb the same cosmic elemental energies. Powerful magicians and warriors live longer because, when magicians absorb elemental energies and refine them into magic power, those energies flow through their bodies and are naturally absorbed by their organs, muscles, and bones. This improves their physical fitness, and better fitness means a longer lifespan. The same goes for warriors. When they cultivate chi, they absorb elemental energies and refine them into chi. As the energy circulates, it also enhances their bodies. The stronger the warrior, the better their physique, and the longer they live. Hogg explained everything clearly. Linley's eyes widened in realization. According to his father, magicians' bodies were also enhanced by cosmic elements. They were far from weak. Father, then why do people say magicians have weak bodies? Linley asked, confused. Hogg shook his head. Can't you figure that out? When people say magicians are weak, it doesn't mean they're truly weak. It just means their bodies are a weak point compared to warriors of the same level. For example, an level 8 magician's body, even without special training, is on par with a level 2 or 3 warrior. But compared to a level 8 warrior, their body is indeed weaker. Linley patted his forehead, smiling awkwardly. He couldn't believe he'd overcomplicated such a simple question. Still, even if magicians aren't good at close combat, they have ways to deal with it. First, they can cast magic shields, like Earth Shield, Ice Shield, Wind Shield, Light Shield. They use defensive magic to block attacks, then strike back with offensive spells. And powerful magicians have another method: taming magical beasts. At this, Linley's eyes lit up. He'd already dreamed of taming a magical beast, like a powerful rapid dragon. A strong magical beast can protect the magician, keeping enemies from getting close. That way, the magician can unleash powerful magic and kill the enemy directly, Hogg said with a smile. Linley immediately asked eagerly, Father, how do you tame a magical beast? Seeing his son's excitement, Hogg smiled and replied, Taming a magical beast requires 2 conditions. First, you must make the beast willing to submit to you. Second, you need to set up a soul contract magic circle to make the beast your servant. The first condition is hard. To To make a magical beast submit willingly, you usually have to defeat it in battle. For example, if you wanted to tame a rapid dragon, you'd first have to beat it, Hogg said. Linley fell silent. Could he ever be strong enough to defeat a rapid dragon? The second condition, setting up the soul contract magic circle, is very complicated. You need to be at least a level 7 magician to have enough power to cast it, Hogg said seriously. Linley froze. Father, does that mean only level 7 magicians or higher can tame magical beasts? No, not necessarily. If you have enough money, you can buy a soul contract scroll. Tearing it open will instantly form the soul contract magic circle. But soul contract scrolls are extremely expensive, Hogg said with a self-deprecating laugh. How expensive? Linley pressed. The last time I heard, they cost 10,000 gold coins each. And even then, they're hard to find, Hogg said. Linley could only kushao inwardly. Taming a magical beast was hard enough. First you had to defeat it. You could tame a weak one, but what use would that be? To tame a strong one, could you beat it? And if you used tricks, how would you make it submit willingly? Willing submission was no easy task. And the seemingly secondary second condition, setting up the soul contract magic circle, meant only powerful magicians or the extremely wealthy could tame magical beasts. Spending 10,000 gold coins on a single scroll was a luxury even most nobles couldn't afford. Linley pressed his lips together, his brows furrowed slightly. If I really want to tame a magical beast, with our family's finances, my only way is to become a level 7 magician first, Linley thought to himself. He knew it would be a difficult path. The first hurdle? Whether he even had the talent to become a magician in the first place. After all, the odds were only 1 in 10,000. Without talent, becoming a magician would be impossible. The next morning, as usual, a large group of children gathered on the eastern open space of Wushan town. Hillman and the other 2 instructors hadn't arrived yet, so the kids chatted excitedly. Their topic never strayed from the shocking battle of the day before. That magical beast was amazing. Hadley, the most talkative among them, stood in the center of the group, gesturing wildly and spitting as he spoke. When Uncle Hillman and the others went to the town center, I followed right behind them and watched secretly from afar. You have no idea. When that huge beast slammed its thick hooves on the ground, the stone pavement shattered completely, and those houses? They crumbled like mud. He acted as if he'd seen every detail clearly. Most of the younger kids listened with wide eyes. Hadley, you were with us on the eastern open space yesterday. You didn't dare go near. A 13 or 14-year-old boy with brown hair snorted. The older teenagers weren't as easy to fool as the 7 or 8-year-olds. Hadley glared at the boy. Fulla, don't you believe me? When have I ever lied? Fulla sneered. Who doesn't know you're a big talker, Hadley? How much of what you say is true? Hey, everyone, when has this kid ever told the truth? Fulla turned to the other teenagers. The 12, 13, and 14-year-olds laughed. That's right. Hadley's always making stuff up. Clearly, the older boys sided with Fulla. Hadley grew flustered. You don't believe me? Fine. You don't believe me. He scanned the crowd anxiously. Then his eyes lit up when he saw Linley. Everyone knows. Yesterday, besides Uncle Hillman and the other 2, only Linley went to the town center. He saw it with his own eyes. You have to believe Linley, right? Ask him, did I lie? Master Linley? The teenagers turned to Linley. Linley held a certain status among the kids and teens of Wushan town. For one, he was the eldest son of the Baruch family. For another, though he was only 8, his physical training matched that of 13 or 14-year-olds. On the martial Yulan continent, Linley's excellence earned him the respect of the town's youth. Master Linley really saw it firsthand. We'll believe whatever he says, the teenagers nodded. By 13 or 14, they were sensible enough to know Linley was a noble, different from them. Most called him Master Linley, while only Hadley and other young kids like him called him Linley casually. Linley, tell them. Did I lie? What was it really like? Hadley ran to Linley, grabbed his hand, and secretly winked at him. Linley sighed helplessly. Why did Hadley have to drag him into his tall tales? That magical beast was a rapid dragon, a level 7 magical beast, extremely powerful. Its scales were so hard that swords and blades couldn't harm it. It had a tough, whip-like tail and sharp claws. Hard stones and pavement felt like paper under them. And it could breathe fire, hot enough to crack stone slabs, Linley said honestly. The kids listened quietly. Actually, you don't need me to tell you. You could probably guess how strong it was when you saw it. Linley smiled. The older teenagers nodded. When they first saw the rapid dragon yesterday, they'd been frozen in fear. Its massive body was like a small hill, and its huge, fiery red scales alone made its toughness obvious. Heard that? I told you the rapid dragon was awesome, Hadley shouted triumphantly. Fulla glared, ready to retort, until Linley called out, Uncle Hillman's here. Linley had spotted Hillman, Rory, and Roger approaching in the distance. Instantly, all the kids and teens fell silent, lining up neatly into 3 teams. The open space went quiet. Only the sound of Hillman's trio's footsteps remained. Hillman and the others stood in front of the group. Hillman smiled and said, You all know what happened yesterday, right? Yes. The kids replied in chorus, encouraged by his relaxed tone. Good. Hillman's expression turned serious. That huge beast was a rapid dragon, and the one on its back was a mysterious magician. They were incredibly strong, but listen to me. His gaze sharpened as he scanned the crowd. Even that mysterious magician worked his way up step by step. Taming a powerful rapid dragon took him years of effort. If you want to tame a beast as strong as the rapid dragon, if you want to be as powerful as that magician, you need to work hard. Keep working hard. Anyone has the chance to become a strong person. The only difference is whether you're willing to work for it. Hillman said firmly, his eyes cold and sharp. The kids and teens fell silent. The older ones began to think, their eyes softening with determination. All right, let's start today's morning training. Same as always. Face the sunrise and practice the chi accumulation stance, Hillman said, getting straight to the point. The 3 teams immediately began their training. Hillman had designed different training tasks for each team based on their abilities. Under the 3 instructors' supervision, every child worked hard to complete their tasks. The atmosphere that day was different. Hardly any kids complained about being tired. Everyone gritted their teeth and pushed themselves. 50, 51, Linley counted silently. He was lying on the ground, supporting his body with only the 5 fingers of one hand and the tips of his feet, his body taut. He was doing one-handed 5-finger push-ups, a simple but effective way to build finger strength and arm power. To become a great warrior, one usually practiced chi manuals. The success of chi cultivation depended on physical strength. The stronger the body, the more chi it could hold. I have the Dragonblood warrior bloodline, so I can't practice chi. I have to surpass others in physical training, Linley thought, his eyes firm. His fingers gripped the ground like gnarled tree roots as he did push-up after push-up, making many exhausted teenagers beside him feel a mix of admiration and envy. 98, 99, Linley kept going. Today's morning training ends here, Hillman announced loudly to the 3 teams. After speaking, he took a deep breath and thought, what story should I tell today? Telling stories to the kids after morning training had become a daily routine. Uncle Hillman, tell us a child's voice cut off mid-sentence. Hillman, who'd been mentally preparing his story, frowned at the unfinished sentence. Looking up, he saw all the kids in the 3 teams staring dumbfounded at the eastern sky. Rory and Roger had also turned to look, their eyes filled with shock. Puzzled, Hillman turned eastward. There, 200 or 300 meters above the ground not far to the east, a black dragon, over 100 meters long, coiled and hovered in the air. Its eyes were as big as cartwheels. Its massive body was covered in black scales that glinted with a terrifying cold light. Its huge wings, spanning nearly 100 meters when spread, flapped gently but powerfully. It was the magical beast, the black dragon. Black dragons ranked among the top powerhouses of magical beasts. Most black dragons were level 9 magical beasts, and the strongest in their clan might even be saint rank powerhouses. Whether level 9 or saint rank, they were far beyond the rapid dragon they'd encountered the day before. At that moment, the group of children and 3 instructors on Wushan Town's eastern open space were only a few hundred meters away from the black dragon. Seeing a 100-meter-long black dragon up close was more visually shocking than any words could describe. The most astonishing sight, however, a man in a gray robe stood proudly on the hovering black dragon's head. The wind howled in the sky, flapping his robe wildly, yet he stood as straight as a spear, steady as a boulder amid the gales. His gaze was fixed on a middle-aged man in green standing suspended in midair, a long sword slung across his back. Suspended in the air. Only wind element magicians who could cast the level 7 spell, Flight, or Saint rank powerhouses could achieve this. And the middle-aged man in green, with his sword, made his identity clear. He was a warrior, a Saint rank warrior. A gray-robed man who tamed a black dragon, and a flying Saint rank powerhouse. Even though he'd witnessed a fierce battle the day before, 8-year-old Linley was completely stunned by this sight. He wasn't alone. Even Hillman, a level 6 warrior, stood frozen in shock. Saint rank powerhouses. They're actually Saint rank powerhouses, Hillman muttered, his body trembling slightly. As someone who'd survived countless life or death battles, Hillman was the first to snap back to his senses. But even then, he felt like he was dreaming these past 2 days. Yesterday, a level 8 dual-element magician came. Today, 2 Saint rank powerhouses and a black dragon. I've never been this shocked in my entire life. His head felt dizzy. Black dragons were top-tier magical beasts, at the very least level 9. Whoever could tame one was almost certainly a Saint rank powerhouse. Moreover, only a Saint rank powerhouse would dare to confront another Saint rank powerhouse. This all confirmed the gray-robed man was a Saint rank powerhouse. Hillman and the others were hundreds of meters from the black dragon. Even with their best hearing, they couldn't make out the conversation between the 2 confronting Saint rank powerhouses. No one knew what the 2 were saying, until suddenly, roar. The giant black dragon let out a furious roar. Its massive wings flapped violently, releasing a terrifying pressure. Everyone, including Hillman, felt their breath catch and their legs go weak. Is this dragon's might? Linley's heart felt as if crushed by a boulder, making it hard to breathe. Yet he still felt a surge of excitement, his blood boiling. This black dragon was far too powerful. Rudy, don't go too far. The middle-aged man in green suddenly shouted. His voice boomed like thunder, echoing across the sky. Not only Hillman and the others heard it. Everyone in Wushan Town did. That shout dispelled the black dragon's pressure, allowing everyone to breathe normally again. Hillman froze, muttering, Rudy? Rudy? Then, realization dawned. He spun around sharply to face the children, yelling, Everyone, go home. Now, run home and hide. Hurry. His loud cry and fierce expression left the kids stunned. Hillman knew exactly what was at stake. Clearly, the 2 Saint rank powerhouses were in conflict, and it looked like they were about to fight. If the kids stayed on this open space, with no buildings for protection, even a single stray wave of energy from the Saint rank battle could kill them all. Saint rank powerhouses were capable of destroying heaven and earth. While destroying heaven and earth was an exaggeration, destroying cities or mountains was well within their ability. Move. Stop staring. Go home. Hurry. Hillman shouted again, shoving some kids to urge them on. The teenagers finally snapped out of their daze. Though they didn't understand why Hillman was making them leave, and still longed to watch the Saint rank battle, Hillman's authority made them run home as fast as they could. Rory, Roger, quick. Help the 6 and 7-year-olds get home. Hurry. If the Saint rank battle spreads here, the consequences will be. Hillman's face was filled with urgency. Yes, Captain. Rory and Roger understood immediately. They rushed to pick up the slower younger kids, carrying 2 in their arms and 2 on their backs. Hillman joined them, quickly lifting up the little ones one by one. Linley, go home fast. Hillman shouted to Linley as he ran with a child in his arms. I will, Uncle Hillman. Linley called back. Though only 8, Linley ran as fast as a 14-year-old. As he ran, he kept glancing back at the eastern sky. The town's buildings were low, so he could clearly see the hundreds of meters up in the east. The black dragon continued to growl softly. Tyrone, if you're so stubborn, don't blame me. A cold voice echoed across the sky. Then the black dragon roared angrily, spewing streams of black flame from its mouth. Rudy, today I'll see just how powerful a Saint rank magician really is, the middle-aged man in green shouted furiously. Clearly, the middle-aged man in green with the sword was named Tyrone, and the gray-robed man was Rudy. Black flames, like billowing smoke, spurted from the black dragon's mouth beneath Rudy, instantly engulfing Tyrone. But a dazzling emerald light suddenly flared around Tyrone's body, shielding him completely from the black flames. At the same time, a sharp sword cry rang out, louder than the dragon's roar, echoing through heaven and earth. Tyrone gripped his sword and swung it. A massive, hazy sword aura, dozens of meters long, sliced through the air, slamming straight toward Rudy. Rudy stared coldly at the giant aura, motionless, while silently chanting magic incantations under his breath. So this is sword aura? It's so huge. Linley glanced back as he ran toward the warehouse. How will the gray-robed man block it? With the black dragon? Thud. The black dragon didn't move to defend. The giant sword aura struck Rudy directly, blowing his gray robe to shreds. But beneath the tattered cloth, a glowing protective armor was revealed, its light so bright it was almost blinding, like polished diamonds. The giant sword aura hit the armor, yet it didn't harm Rudy at all. How is that possible? Linley was truly stunned. He was so focused on staring that he didn't watch his step. Tripping over a stone, he fell to the ground, but he still twisted his head to look at the eastern sky. What kind of armor is that? How can its defense be so strong? Linley, hurry up. Stop staring. Hogg roared when he saw Linley's distraction. Yes, father. Linley snapped back to his senses, scrambled to his feet, and sprinted toward the warehouse. Boom rumble, a terrifying crash suddenly shook the sky. Then, screams of panic erupted across Wushan town. Linley couldn't help but glance up again and froze. Hundreds of boulders, each the size of a house, hovered in the eastern sky. Asterisk whoosh, 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 asterisk. Every house-sized boulder glowed with earth-yellow light, streaking through the air like meteors toward Tyrone. Each boulder must have weighed nearly 50,000 kilograms, far larger than the stones launched by siege catapults in war. Even a city wall would struggle to withstand such an impact. One boulder alone was terrifying, but now the sky was filled with them. The sight of countless house-sized boulders crashing toward Tyrone left the townsfolk of Wushan town utterly shocked. Thud! The first boulder hit Tyrone. His emerald aura flared violently. For a moment, he looked like a green sun, radiating blinding emerald light. The dense boulders surged toward him like a tidal wave, surrounding him in the blink of an eye. Only faint streaks of emerald light could be seen through the gaps between the stones. Crack! A deafening crash rang out as boulders exploded one after another, shattered to pieces by Tyrone's terrifying emerald chi. Each house-sized boulder split into countless smaller stones, which flew in all directions. Launched from hundreds of meters high, with the added force of Tyrone's chi, the seashore flew with terrifying speed and distance. Oh no! Hogg's face turned deathly pale. Hillman, still on the town streets, paled instantly too. They both realized disaster had come to Wushan town. Countless stones rained down. The largest were nearly 2 meters in diameter, the smallest about the size of a human head. They fell randomly from the sky, with roughly 1/5 of them heading straight for Wushan town. Father! Linley shouted to Hogg in the distance when he saw the stones plummeting. Hurry! Get inside now! Hogg yelled frantically. Linley was still dozens of meters from the warehouse. At his father's shout, he raced forward without hesitation. All around him, the asterisk boom, 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 asterisk of falling stones echoed, like an earthquake, a scene of doomsday. Whoosh! A boulder weighing hundreds of kilograms brushed past Linley, slamming into the ground just steps away and creating a large crater. Cold sweat drenched Linley's back. If it had hit him, he would have been dead. Asterisk boom, 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 asterisk. The sound of stones smashing through roofs, shattering pavement, crashing into the earth, and the screams of those hit filled the air, forming a doomsday chorus. Whoosh! More stones fell in front of Linley. He stumbled back to dodge. If he kept dodging like this, he'd never reach the warehouse. Master Linley, hurry! A figure rushed out of the warehouse. It was Grandpa Hillary. A fiery red chi shield flickered around Hillary as he ran toward Linley. Brother, hurry, hurry! At the warehouse door, 4-year-old Wharton cried out, shouting anxiously to Linley. Wharton, get inside. Now, Linley roared. Whoosh! A rare boulder, nearly 2 meters long, shot from the sky in the distance, heading straight for the warehouse. Linley saw it instantly, and his mind raced. If that boulder hit the warehouse roof, Wharton, who was at the door, would definitely be injured. or even killed. Hurry inside, Wharton. Linley's eyes nearly split with urgency. He roared and sprinted toward the warehouse, ignoring the stones falling from the sky. Hilary, facing Linley, couldn't see the boulder hurtling toward the warehouse behind him. But Linley saw it clearly. If debris from the warehouse collapsed, Wharton's small body wouldn't stand a chance. Master Linley. Hilary was horrified when he saw Linley rushing forward recklessly. 2 or 3 more stones crashed around Linley, but he moved like a leopard, his eyes fixed on Wharton. He lunged into the warehouse. Hilary, finally turning around, saw the 2-meter diameter boulder heading for the warehouse. His face turned ashen. "Get down," Linley roared, his expression ferocious. Wharton had never seen his brother look so terrifying. He fell to the ground, tears welling in his eyes, and whimpered, "Brother." Linley dove forward, shielding Wharton with his body. Almost at the same moment, boom, a thunderous crash echoed. The massive boulder slammed into the warehouse roof. The roof's stone slabs, though sturdy, shattered instantly. Even the walls trembled and collapsed. "Master!" Hilary's eyes turned red. He unleashed his chi fully, darting forward like a fiery red flash. A protective aura formed around him as he slapped his palms at the falling wall debris. The collapsing stones and Hilary himself crashed onto Linley almost simultaneously. Boom rumble. In seconds, Wharton, Linley, and Hilary were completely buried under the collapsed wall. In the courtyard, Hogg swung a giant sword to knock away a speeding stone. But when he turned to Linley's direction and saw Linley leap to shield Wharton, followed by Hilary diving to protect them, he froze. The warehouse collapsed, and stones rained down. Linley. Hogg's eyes turned red. He couldn't tell if Hilary had covered Linley first, or if the debris had hit him first. Asterisk boom. 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 Asterisk. Sporadic crashes still rumbled through Wushan town, but within moments, no more debris fell from the sky. The green-robed man had shattered every last boulder. Yet the townsfolk had no time to spare for the battle above. Survival was their only focus now. "Lord Hogg, Wushan town is in chaos." "Just now. Lord Hogg, are you all right?" Hillman burst into the mansion, his report faltering when he saw Hogg's dazed, vacant stare. Hogg jolted awake, his mind clearing. "Linley." He sprinted toward the warehouse, moving with a speed that seemed impossible for a man of his calm demeanor. Hillman, guessing the worst, raced after him without a second thought. Thud! Before Hogg could reach the rubble pile, it shifted. Butler Hilary pushed aside the stones and climbed out, dust coating his robes, but unharmed. "Uncle Hilary, how are they?" Hogg's voice trembled. His eyes locked onto the prone figure beneath the debris, and his breath caught. A large, vivid bloodstain spread across Linley's head, so dazzling that Hogg's vision swam. His legs wobbled, and he had to steady himself against a nearby wall. Linley was still propping himself up with his hands, his body arched to shield the small form beneath him from the falling stones. "Father!" A soft, childish voice came from under Linley. Wharton crawled out from his brother's protection. His tiny body was unmarked. Linley had shielded him entirely. Brother, what's wrong?" Wharton pushed gently at Linley's arm, his eyes wide with fear. Linley. Hogg's voice cracked with panic. Hilary stepped forward, guilt heavy in his tone. "I was too slow. I blocked one piece of debris, but another still hit Master Linley's head. But the blow wasn't as hard as it looks. He'll pull through." I'm fine," a low, hoarse voice replied. Linley forced his head up, his gaze finding Hogg's. He tried to smile, a weak, lopsided grin that only made the blood on his cheek more stark. At that smile, Hogg's composure crumbled. Tears streamed down his face, unchecked. Linley pushed himself into a sitting position. His clothes were soaked in blood, his face and neck streaked red. He'd lost far more blood than he let on. Dizziness clouded his vision, but he still looked at his father steadily. "Father, you're crying." It's nothing," Hogg said, forcing a shaky smile as he wiped his eyes. "Wharton, why were you at the warehouse door?" Linley's tone softened, though there was a faint edge of scolding as he brushed his brother's hair back. Wharton hung his head, his small shoulders slumping. "I'm sorry, brother. I didn't listen." Hilary took the blame. "It's my fault, Lord Hogg. The disaster came so fast. I'd just gotten Wharton to the warehouse when I saw Master Linley in danger. I ran to help him, and in that instant, the boulder hit." I should have kept Wharton inside. Boom. Another violent tremor shook the ground, sending dust swirling. Everyone's head snapped east. There, hovering in the sky, was a giant, nearly 10 meters tall, with bulging muscles, a cold stone-like face, and earth-yellow skin. It clashed with the green-robed man, their impacts thundering like distant storms. Even from the ground, the force of their blows was tangible. Each strike from the earth-yellow giant was more powerful than the 50,000-kilogram boulders that had rained down earlier. Linley watched in awe. That giant, it must be a summon from the gray-robed magician, he murmured. It made sense. Only a saint-rank magician could call such a fearsome creature. Linley, how do you really feel? Hogg knelt beside his son, his hand hovering over the bandage Hillary was wrapping around Linley's head. Linley shrugged, wincing slightly. Just a cut. Lost some blood. Nothing more. Master Linley, you've lost too much blood. Too much can be fatal, Hillary said, tying the white silk bandage tightly. You'll need rest and plenty of meat to recover your strength. Hogg gave Linley a long, searching look before turning to Hillary. Is he truly all right? Hillary nodded reassuringly. His constitution is strong, stronger than most boys his age. He never lost consciousness, which is a good sign. A few weeks of rest, and he'll be back to training like normal. Hogg let out a long, shaky breath, tension leaving his shoulders. For a moment, when he'd seen Linley dive for Wharton, he'd feared losing his eldest son. He turned to Hillman, his voice firming. Hillman, once the dust settles, come with me to check on the townsfolk. We need to count the dead and tend to the wounded. Then he looked to Hillary. Uncle Hillary, when these two saint rankers leave, help Linley change his clothes and get him to bed. No arguing. Yes, Lord Hogg, Hillary replied. Hogg glanced at Linley, who was already craning his neck to watch the battle again, and smiled faintly. Even injured, you can't look away, can you? But don't worry. Now that the magicians summoned the Earth Guardian, this fight will end soon. That spell is a saint rank ace. Linley's eyes sparkled, transfixed by the sky-high clash. He didn't notice the pendant pressed against his chest. The coiling dragon ring, strung on a linen thread and hidden under his bloodstained shirt, had soaked up droplets of his blood. The dark, wood-like stone of the ring drank the blood slowly, as if thirsty. A faint, almost imperceptible glow began to shimmer on its surface, soft and hazy. But the ring was hidden beneath his clothes, the glow too dim to catch anyone's eye. No one noticed, not Hogg, not Hillary, not even Linley himself.